My House of Horrors Chapter 561 to 570. With Shu Yin leading the way, and after ensuring that there was no danger, Chen Ge entered. Following the wooden ladder to the bottom of the tunnel, Chen Ge hung up the phone and turned on the flashlight function on his phone. He walked forward with his back bent. After walking for about 3 meters, a steel door appeared before him, and it was sealed by the police. Probably because it had been underground for too long, the steel door was covered in red rust. Chen Ge tried to push the door, and he was shocked. The door appeared to have grown into the ground around it. No matter how hard he pushed, the door would not budge. It's locked. Chen Ge inspected the steel door, but he did not see any keyholes, so there was no way it was locked. Looks like I'll have to use another method. Chen Ge took out the hammer and calculated the distance between the door and the ground. If I make any noise here, the tenants upstairs won't notice. He took a few steps back, raised the hammer, and slammed it heavily on the edge of the steel door. Blood-red rust fell to the ground, and large chunks of dirt fell from the ceiling. It felt like the place was about to collapse. Bang, bang, bang. When Chen Ge hung up on Fan Kong, he had already prepared himself. After a few more whacks, the steel door finally fell open. The dirt fell on him, and Chen Ge felt like his body was shaking. This place was very dangerous, but since he was already there, it was not Chen Ge's style not to go in and take a look. He looked at the steel door that he had hammered open, and he reached out to touch the edge of the door. At the place where the door and the dirt were connected, there were many things that looked like dead plant roots. Most of them were gray, but some were blood red. These are the blood vessels that crawled out from behind the door. What is the difference between a normal door and a door that has gone out of control? Chen Ge inspected the iron door before him, and the more he looked at it, the stranger he felt. The door is embedded in the corridor, and it is very difficult to open. Even an adult like me would have a hard time pushing it open, much less Xiao Biyu. Chen Ge suspected that the door wasn't pushed open by Xiao Biyu in the secret room. Instead, it was purposely closed by the police to prevent people from entering the secret room. There's a police seal on the door, so I can't see the keyhole. Instead of calling it a door, it's more appropriate to call it a metal plate that blocks the road. Assuming the door was installed by the police, where is the real door in the secret room? Chen Ge observed the edge of the iron gate and soon found something. Inside the iron gate, there was a blood-red wooden frame a little further away from the iron gate. But strangely, the door frame was still there, but the door was gone. There should be a second door in the secret chamber, but where is it? After losing control, the door will disappear. Or was it taken away by the police as evidence? Or did they find something on the door? Quote. Chen Ge grumbled to himself. He raised his phone, and when the light shone on the secret room behind the iron gate, he was stunned. Behind the iron gate was a secret room about 30 square meters in size. There was a large iron cage in the middle of the room, and inside it were many sets of doll outfits. At that moment, there appeared to be a girl standing in the middle of the pile of doll outfits. Xiao Biyu. Shu Yin did not give him any warning. Chen Ge gripped the hammer and slowly approached. He walked 2 meters forward, and when he reached the girl, he realized that it was a mannequin. The mannequin had the name Zhongbai written on it with a red ballpoint pen, and it looked quite scary. Zhongbai is Zhong Long's daughter, so why would this mannequin have her name on it? The door of the cage was not locked, and Chen Ge soon made a new discovery. All the plush dolls inside the cage had the name, Zhong Chuyu, written on their jackets with a marker. This name was familiar to Chen Ge as well. After all, she was Zhong Long's first wife. Could it be that Xiao Biyu had Zhong Chuyu put on all the doll outfits and locked her inside the iron cage as well? Xiao Biyu pushed open the door inside the secret room and entered the world behind the door. She was so young, so the chance of her leaving the world behind the door alive was close to zero. Based on Chen Ge's prediction, when Xiao Biyu came out, she had already turned into a red specter. Zhong Long's family of 4, Zhong Xiao who was sent to the mental hospital, Zhong Long died in a car accident, and his wife and daughter went missing. Are these all the handiwork of Xiao Biyu? Most red specters were driven by a certain emotion, pain, or hatred. They were much more powerful than normal specters, but they were also controlled by their emotions. They would be more rash and crazy, possessing a strong desire to destroy. Chen Ge was not surprised by anything that Xiao Biyu could do, but he did not understand how Xiao Biyu managed to get Zhang Chuyu and Zhang Bai to Liwan City. Even though red specters were not like normal specters, who needed to attach themselves to something when they were alive, they could not stray too far away from where they were. Even someone as powerful as Zhang Ya had been staying at Western Zhujiang's private academy. It was not until her love letter was drawn by Chen Ge that she left the academy. The main reason she was able to move around freely was because she saw Chen Ge's shadow as her attachment. In other words, Chen Ge was her attachment, and that was why she was able to follow Chen Ge around Zhujiang. Someone helped Xiao Biyu send Zhang Chuyu and Zhang Bai over. Chen Ge had interacted with ghosts often, so he knew that ghosts could sometimes be communicated with. He suspected that the culprit had made some kind of deal with Xiao Biyu. The culprit handed Zhang Long's family over to Xiao Biyu, and Xiao Biyu had to help him complete something in return. The Society of Strange Tales once controlled the door in Liwan City. According to Dr. Gao, they even stored some of the things that the Society of Strange Tales had accumulated inside this door. Could it be them who made the deal with Xiao Biyu? Chen Ge thought about it and did not think that was possible. The Society of Strange Tales was probably tricked by the shadow in eastern Zhujiang. This door is different from the one at the third sick hall. It was created by someone, a part of the shadow's setup. From the perspective of a bystander, Chen Ge saw things more clearly. The Society of Strange Tales' activities are mainly in western Zhujiang and northern Zhujiang, but they just had to discover a door in eastern Zhujiang. Perhaps the shadow is behind this. He probably wants to consume the Society of Strange Tales as well. At its peak, the Society of Strange Tales had many normal specters, several red specters, and even Wu Fei, the genius among the mad, and Dr. Gao, the madman among the madmen. Even so, they had been tricked by the shadow. This made Chen Ge even more wary of the culprit in eastern Zhujiang. Before Dr. Gao died, he mentioned this door in eastern Zhujiang. Looks like eastern Zhujiang left a deep impression on him. He probably crossed paths with the ghosts in eastern Zhujiang before, but he did not gain the upper hand. Actually, Chen Ge wished to borrow Dr. Gao's power, but the man was not even a human anymore. After giving it some thought, he gave up on this dangerous idea. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. The soil on the ceiling kept falling. Chen Ge felt very unsafe, like the place could collapse at any moment. After finding nothing else, Chen Ge prepared to leave. The door that connects the two worlds will normally appear for 1 minute at midnight. I wonder if the door that has gone out of control still retains this characteristic. Perhaps next time, I'll come back to take a look. The police had sealed up the room, but they did not discover the secret behind the door. It was probably because they had missed the time. After all, the police were also human, who would go to a crime scene at midnight. After calling Xu Yin, Chen Ge crawled out from the room, closed the wooden boards, and replaced the cupboard. Looking at the various handicrafts in the room and the thick plush doll's jacket inside the iron cage, Chen Ge's emotions were complicated. Despair is something that exists naturally. Life is hard enough as it is, so why do these meaningless things? After inspecting the room again and making sure there was nothing else, Chen Ge jumped out from the bathroom window and closed the window that had lost its glass. I've completed the trial mission, returned the scooter, and inspected Zhang Long's secret room. I've done everything I needed to do, so it's time to go back. Chen Ge glanced at his watch. It was 3 a.m., the darkest time of the night. I'd better drive the hearse back before the sun comes up. It'll be troublesome if I run into the traffic police at dawn. The black phone said that it was best for the hearse to be on the road after midnight on a rainy night. Chen Ge remembered that. He did not want his car to be stopped by the police on his first trip. Fan Kong's home was on the top floor. Chen Ge thought that it was too troublesome to go up the stairs, so he took out his phone to call Fan Kong's brother and then leave. The phone rang once, and Fan Kong's voice came from the other end. "Brother, why did you break the window? Didn't you say you're just going to take a look?" Quote. "I've looked around, there's no surveillance. Chen Ge carried his bag and stood at the edge of the building. The rain was about to stop. No. What does this have to do with surveillance? Quote. I'm also trying to solve a murder case. The families of the victims are crying every day. More importantly, if the killer is not caught, there will soon be new victims. Think about it, you're living in this kind of fear. Aren't you afraid? If I break a piece of glass, I can save one or even a few lives. Compared to human lives, is a piece of broken glass more important? Quote. Fan Kong could not refute what Chen Ge said. He thought about it for a while and felt that it made sense. By the way, before I smashed the window, I purposely hung up on you. How did you know? Chen Ge was a person who paid attention to details. His calmness and cautiousness were also the reasons why he could survive so many trial missions. I've been watching you from upstairs. If something happened to you, I was going to call the police. After Fan Kong said that, Chen Ge lifted his head to look at Fan Kong's home. A faint light leaked out from a room on the left side of the building opposite. Fan Kong stood at the window. He held his phone. When he saw Chen Ge look up, he even waved at Chen Ge. Mr. Chen, I really admire you. You dared to go to a haunted house alone at 2 or 3 a.m. That's impressive. Fan Kong said for a long time, but there was no response from Chen Ge. He stood at the rooftop and looked down. Chen Ge's phone was placed next to his ear. His body seemed to have been petrified. He stood where he was, maintaining the posture of looking up. Mr. Chen, say something. Fan Kong saw that Chen Ge was acting strangely, and he started to panic. Please don't scare me like this. Was he bewitched? F***ck. I told you not to go there no matter what. Quote. Don't say anything. Chen Ge's voice came from the phone. Perhaps it was a psychological effect, but Fan Kong felt like Chen Ge's voice was different from before. What's wrong? Maintain this posture and don't move. Remember, do not turn around. This was the first time that Fan Kong had heard Chen Ge use such a stern tone. He quickly promised, okay, I won't turn around. Even though he said he would not turn around, his heart could not help but want to. Fan Kong felt a chill crawl up his spine to his brain. Mr. Chen, is there something behind me? It's fine. Now, move the hand that is holding the phone back a little. Like this. Yes, move it back. Okay, this is the position. Maintain it and don't move. Quote. Chen Ge stood downstairs. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the room that Fan Kong was in. A weak light seeped out from inside the room. Fan Kong stood at the window, one hand gripping his pajamas tightly while the other held his phone to the back of his head. Not far away from his phone stood a girl in a red dress. Her black hair fell on the red dress. The child's face did not have distinct features, and in its place were several black holes. She had no eyes, nose, teeth, and her limbs were covered by the red dress. Her age, height, and appearance could not be seen. Everything appeared to be unknown. Red dress. What dress? Mr. Chen, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me on purpose. I promise I won't tell anyone about you breaking the window. Quote. Don't say anything. Let me talk to her. Chen Ge arranged his thoughts. The girl in the red dress who suddenly appeared in Fan Kong's room was most likely Xiao Biyu. Chen Ge had speculated that the child was hiding in the deepest part of the game. All the children in the game are called Xiao Biyu, and all the tragedies have happened to Xiao Biyu. There has to be a reason for that. Chen Ge picked up the phone and stated his stance. Don't be rash. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, you can tell me. Inside the bedroom, Fan Kong and the girl in the red dress behind him did not move. It was as if time had stopped. Realizing that the girl had no intention of harming Fan Kong, Chen Ge continued. I have not experienced your pain, so I cannot say that I can understand you completely, but please give me a chance to help you. Perhaps we can sit down together and have a chat. Fan Kong's body was shaking. Listening to what Chen Ge said, he felt like either he had gone mad or Chen Ge had gone mad. Big brother, who are you talking to? Chen Ge ignored Fan Kong. He did not dare stay alone with a red specter without any protection, but Fan Kong did. I have seen many children like you. Perhaps their experience is nothing compared to yours, but at least with my help, they have found a direction in life. Chen Ge had played Xiao Bu's game before. He rummaged through his backpack and took out an old phone. He summoned Tong Tong. Do you see the boy next to me? He appeared in that game. You should know his story. I helped him complete his wish and punished the people who harmed him. You can ask him about these things. Quote. With the truth before him, the phone spirit understood that it was time to show his sincerity. He nodded and tried to put on a happy smile, but probably because he had not smiled for a long time, his smile looked ugly. Listening to the words on Chen Ge's phone, Fan Kong looked at the empty space next to Chen Ge. What is the meaning of this? Why is there another one? How many people are there in this room? Quote. Chen Ge summoned the phone spirit. The girl in the red dress appeared to have seen Tong Tong before. She tilted her head to the side, and after some consideration, she lifted her sleeve. Her hand could not be seen, but the blood-red sleeve waved several times at the window. Moments later, blood started to leak out of Fan Kong's window. The blood formed the words, "If you come to Li Wan City again, you will die." The bloody words appeared on the window, and both Chen Ge and Fan Kong saw them. However, the two's reactions were completely different. Chen Ge frowned slightly, but when Fan Chong saw the bloody words, he finally gave in and collapsed to the ground. I'll die. If the girl was really Xiao Bu, then she was not a normal red specter but a red specter who had pushed open the door. A red specter like that should be able to sense Zhang Ya's presence. Even with Zhang Ya and Xu Yin, I might still die. Chen Ge did not reveal his trump card to the girl. His real plan was to bring Meng Nan, the woman in the red raincoat, and the woman from the tunnel to complete the 3.5-star mission at Li Wan City. Hearing Chen Ge's voice on the phone, the girl waved her sleeves again, and new words appeared outside the window. He has discovered you. If you come to Li Wan City again, you will die. Him. Looking at the bloody words on the window, Chen Ge keenly picked up a piece of information. The culprit in eastern Zhejiang might be a man, or rather, he might have been a man when he was alive. The bloody words disappeared after a while. Chen Ge wanted to ask the girl more, but after several tries, Chen Ge realized that no matter what he asked, the girl's answer was the same. The next time he came to Li Wan City, he would die. There was no emotion in her words. It was as if the red-clothed girl was stating a fact. She felt that there was no other possibility. Chen Ge tried his best to get some useful information out of the girl's mouth, but unfortunately, he did not succeed. Several minutes later, Fan Kong, who was sitting on the ground, could not take it anymore. His arms were completely frozen, and his mind was blank. When he moved his body, his neck instinctively moved backward. The girl in the red dress did not seem to want to be seen by more people. When Fan Chong's neck turned, she disappeared from the room. No one knew where she was hiding. Mr. Chen, did you see something in my room? Why can't I see anything? Fan Kong was frightened. At first, he thought that Chen Ge was deliberately scaring him, but when the bloody words began to appear on the window, he completely panicked. Stay in the room and don't move. I'll be right there. Okay, can you not hang up? I'm a little scared. Quote. Chen Ge did not hear Fan Kong's last sentence. He ran to the top floor in one breath. Open the door, Fan Kong. After a long time, the door finally opened. Fan Kong held onto the wall and walked unsteadily. Mr. Chen, what was behind me just now? Tell me the truth. You're not telling me anything, and I'm imagining things on my own. I feel even more scared. Quote. Fan Kong could be considered a witness. Chen Ge thought about it and did not hide anything. Earlier, there was a very cute girl standing on the computer table behind you. I suspect she is Xiao Bu from the game. Xiao Bu. Fan Kong was stunned. She ran out from the game. Keep your voice down. Your brother still needs to go to work tomorrow. Don't wake him up. What time is it already? Why do you still need to go to work? I think we should move tomorrow. Fan Kong was really spooked that night. Even if he fainted at the haunted house, his subconscious would console himself that it was all fake, but this was his own home. In the future, every night when he closed his eyes, he would be reminded of what had happened in this room. Don't panic. Let's go through this first. Chen Ge dragged Fan Kong into his bedroom. Everything in the room was the same as when he left. Chen Ge walked to the computer and looked at the game. The Xiao Bu in the game did not show any abnormalities. Mr. Chen, don't try to persuade me. I need to move. It's too scary. I don't want to play that game anymore. You can take it with you. I'll give you the computer as well. Quote. Calm down. Chen Ge patted Fan Kong's shoulder lightly. The girl is very cute. She doesn't look like a bad person. But no matter how cute she is, I'm still afraid. Fan Kong sat beside the computer table. Then he seemed to be reminded of something and moved his chair back. She doesn't want to harm you. If she wanted to harm you, something would have happened to you a long time ago. Chen Ge looked at the game on the computer screen. How many people are living in this residential area now? Most of the people in this residential area have moved away. There should be around 1 to 200 people left, right? Fan Kong did not understand what Chen Ge meant. Why do you ask that? There are 1 to 200 people in this residential area. Why did the child choose you? Chen Ge looked at Fan Kong with confusion. Because I'm unlucky. I was mocked, broke up, and lost my job. I'm a complete loser in life. The fat on Fan Kong's face trembled slightly. I'm afraid it's the opposite. The girl probably wanted to help you. Help me. Fan Kong slowly calmed down. Tell me everything that happened before and after you obtained this game. There must be a reason why the girl chose you. Chen Ge thought it was strange. Why did Fan Kong have to encounter Xiao Bu's game? Fan Kong held his hands together and struggled with his thoughts for a long time before he said, Fine, but you have to promise me not to tell my brother about this. I don't want him to worry about me. Yes, no problem. Actually, some time ago, I had given up all hope. After working for a few years, things were not going well for me. I was probably one of those people who was born to be disliked. From school to work, I was the one who was ostracized. A few weeks ago, the leader tried to persuade me, hoping that I would leave, and I agreed. Fan Kong finally told the truth and told Chen Ge everything that had been suppressed in his heart. When I got home, I called my girlfriend and complained to her. She listened to everything patiently and calmly told me that she wanted to break up with me. She said that she was tired of listening to me talk about this. She could not even pretend to love me anymore. I apologized to her and tried many ways to make up for it, but no matter what I did, she did not forgive me. Later, I bought a gift and went to wait for her at her company's entrance. In the end, I saw her with a very tall and handsome man. I asked her colleagues, but they did not know about my existence. They said that the two of them had been dating for a long time, and they seemed to be preparing to get engaged. The fat on his face squeezed together, and Fan Kong's hands tightened. I don't know how I got home. At the time, my mind was a mess. I hated other people and myself, and then the thought of leaving came into my mind. I came to the roof and stood there for 3 to 4 hours. Whenever I was about to take that step, I would hear someone calling my name softly. I stood there from afternoon until the sky turned dark. Perhaps I was too hungry, and I suddenly had a craving for my brother's cooking. Then, I went home. Then, I found this game. I locked myself in my room and worked day and night to clear the game. Keep moving forward, and things will get better. Chen Ge consoled him softly. I have a general idea why Xiao Bu came to find you. When you were at your most desperate, it was probably her who stopped you. Perhaps from her perspective, you are both despairing people, and you should understand her situation more easily. Quote. If not for her, you wouldn't be in this world anymore. It was because of her that you managed to survive. She saved you at your most desperate moment, so what reason do you have to be afraid of such a cute girl? Quote. Chen Ge's voice was calm and warm, and it seemed to be imbued with a unique power. Fan Kong thought about it for a long time. He suddenly felt like Chen Ge had a point. After death, there's nothing left, not even the chance to pursue happiness. You're right, I should thank her. Actually, when you told me the old lady's story, I was reminded of Xiao Bu. The old lady lived next to Xiao Bu's home, so the girl she saw was probably Xiao Bu. Chen Ge looked at the girl who was wearing her mother's pajamas. An old lady who lived alone suddenly had a heart attack. Without the neighbors knowing, someone called the emergency number. Who do you think made that call? Xiao Bu. Who else could it be other than her? From this, it can be seen that the child still has the basic concept of good and evil. Chen Ge pushed Fan Kong's chair to the computer. So, you should play this game without worry. Xiao Bu would not harm you for no reason. She probably wanted you to encounter this game because she wanted to share her story with others. That's all. Even ghosts need to share their stories. Fan Kong's voice was soft. He sat before the computer and was still not used to it. That should be one of the reasons why she made this game. As for the other reasons, I'm afraid we'll have to wait until we clear the game. Seeing that Fan Kong was no longer so nervous, Chen Ge sighed in relief. Keep it up, the child is probably trapped in the deepest part of the game, haunted by despair and pain. She once saved you, now it's your turn to save her. She's hiding inside my computer. Fan Kong's gaze slowly turned determined. His hands returned to the keyboard and mouse. Understood, I will finish this game as soon as possible. With that, he exited the game interface and emptied the D, E, and F drives on the computer. By the way, Mr. Chen, did you see the bloody words that appeared on the window just now? Was that also written by Xiao Bu? Quote. It should be. But why would she tell you that something bad would happen to you if you returned to Liwan City? Is it that dangerous to live here? Fan Kong seemed to be afraid that Chen Ge would misunderstand, so he added, I'm worried about my brother. He's impatient and careless. He's very worrisome. Temporarily, Eastern Zhejiang will be a bit chaotic. Don't go out at night. It should be fine in a week or two. A week or two. All right. Fan Kong did not know how Chen Ge calculated the time, but he chose to believe it unconditionally. Remember to contact me if there's anything. I won't be coming to Liwan City for the next few days. Xiao Bu's message still attracted Chen Ge's attention. He had always been careful, and he would not risk his life. After that, Chen Ge left. He had to drive the bus back to New Century Park under the cover of night. After getting on the bus, Chen Ge saw the boy that he had placed at the back of the bus. The boy was still unconscious. After inspecting the boy's body and confirming that he was not in danger, Chen Ge sighed in relief. The parents must be panicking. After I drive the bus back to the park, I'll drop the boy off at Western Zhejiang's police station. The bus on Route 104 went from Western Zhejiang to Eastern Zhejiang. The middle-aged woman had probably stolen the boy from Western Zhejiang, so it would be fine to drop him off at Western Zhejiang's police station. There are fewer surveillance cameras in rural areas, but I can't be too careless. Chen Ge opened the comic and summoned Tang Jun. What's your decision? With Bai Cholan, Lao Zhou, and many other ghosts appearing to brainwash him, Tang Jun's attitude became much better. He was not a specter, and his death was a traffic accident. He did not have much resentment, and his only obsession was to miss his family. I don't mind. After all, I'm driving, so it doesn't matter who I'm driving for, but if you can let me see my family one more time, I'll follow you faithfully. Where's your home? What's wrong? You drive, and we'll go there now. 20 minutes later, Tang Jun walked out from an old residential area in Eastern Zhejiang. Perhaps because his obsession was not as strong, his body became more transparent, like it was about to dissipate. After he got on the bus, his body started to slowly recover. So soon? Aren't you going to accompany them for a while longer? Chen Ge looked at the mission information on the black phone. Tang Jun had already returned. It had only taken him less than 3 minutes to get off the bus. I didn't go upstairs. I just stood at the bottom of the building for a while. Aren't you going to visit them? I thought about it and decided not to. It's fine. If you want to come in the future, just give me a call, and you can come anytime. Chen Ge had always treated his employees well. He treated them like family. But you have to be careful. When the obsession that sustains you disappears, that's when you'll disappear. Okay, I understand. Tang Jun held the steering wheel and started the bus. At 4 a.m., when the sun was just starting to rise, the bus arrived at New Century Park. When the guard saw that Chen Ge had gone out for a night and returned with such a big thing, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. After asking again and again to confirm that Chen Ge did not steal or rob and that this was just a prop, the old man let Chen Ge in. Driving a bus is indeed a bit too conspicuous. Chen Ge pulled Tang Jun back into the comic and parked the bus at the empty spot behind the haunted house. Let me think, is there anything else I haven't done? Chen Ge opened the door and saw the boy lying on the seat at the back of the bus. When he walked over, the boy's lashes were fluttering, and his lips were pressed into a thin line. You're awake. The boy was very clever. He should have woken up when the sun rose, but he had been pretending to be unconscious. Realizing that his little trick had been seen through by Chen Ge, the boy crawled up from the seat. He did not say anything but sneaked glances at Chen Ge. Don't be afraid, I'm a good person. It was me who saved you from the bad guys last night. Chen Ge held the boy's hand as they got off the bus. It was 4 a.m., 4 hours before the park opened. Chen Ge calculated the time and felt like there was plenty of time. He led the boy out of New Century Park and hailed a cab to Western Zhejiang's police station. The boy's parents must be worried. This can't be delayed. At 5 a.m., Chen Ge arrived at Western Zhejiang's police station. He held the boy's hand as they entered. When the officers on duty saw someone enter, they did not pay much attention, but when they saw the person's face, they were shocked. Chen Ge, why are you here? Quote. Being recognized by the officer on duty was something that Chen Ge did not expect. He coughed dryly and quickly got into character. On the way to Eastern Zhejiang, I accidentally stumbled into a child abduction case. You know how I am, I have a strong sense of justice. After a life-and-death struggle, I finally rescued the child. A person with a sense of justice will not talk about it every day. The 3 officers on duty at Western Zhejiang's police station were all there. One of them had worked with Li Sanbao on the Muyang High School case, so he had a deep impression of Chen Ge. I can't make the decision on your behalf. Our superintendent and Inspector Li have told me that once you're involved in a case, you have to consult them first before making a decision. This time, it's not a murder case, so it shouldn't be that serious, right? Chen Ge still had something else to do. His original plan was to leave the child there, and then he could leave in peace. So, in your eyes, only murder cases are serious. That's a very dangerous thought. The officer called Li Sanbao's number directly. Of the remaining 2 officers, one led the child to the side while the other guarded Chen Ge, on high alert. Several minutes later, the officer who had been on the phone with Inspector Li walked out from the office and looked at Chen Ge with a strange expression. What did Inspector Li say? Can I leave now? Chen Ge had not slept that night. The theme park opened at 9 a.m., so he was in a hurry to catch up on sleep. It's impossible to leave now. The officer placed the document on the table. Last night at 9 p.m., a pair of young parents came to report that their child had gone missing. The picture of the child that they provided is similar to the one that you found. That's a good thing. That saves you a lot of time. You can just return the child to them. Chen Ge was confused. Could it be that the parents want to thank me in person? There's no need for that. Quote. No, we'd like to ask for your cooperation. The officer flipped through the file, and there was information about several children. These are the children who have disappeared in Western Zhejiang for the past few months. There is a similarity between their cases, they happened on a rainy night. We've been following up on this case. Through interviews and investigations, there were witnesses who saw a middle-aged woman enter and leave the crime scene. Last night, when the boy disappeared, someone in the neighborhood saw the woman as well. Quote. Many in a row. Chen Ge knew that these cases were related to the culprit in Eastern Zhejiang, but he had no idea why they needed so many children. Yes, the impact of this case was very bad. There was even a story in the areas where the case occurred frequently. She said that every time it rained, a middle-aged woman would appear with a basket. She was chased out of the house by her husband because she couldn't have children, so she hated men and children. She would use all kinds of methods to bring children into the depths of the street and hide them. Quote. Isn't this a typical urban legend? It can't be real. Chen Ge didn't expect the police to suddenly say this. Most of the local urban legends and ghost stories have their origins. You can't completely believe them, but you can't ignore them. The officer then turned to Chen Ge. There have been 7 cases of missing children, and this boy was the only one who was found. You're the only one who has interacted with the suspect, so I have to keep you here. Okay, I'll cooperate fully with your investigation. Chen Ge knew that he could not leave. He poured himself a glass of warm water and sat on the chair. But then again, cooperation is one thing, but you can't keep asking for my cooperation. Initially, when I provided the key clue to the case at Ping'an Apartments, you rewarded me with 50,000, but now, I don't even have a medal or a commendation. That's not quite right, right? Quote. Seeing how shameless Chen Ge was, the officer was tickled. Don't worry, all your contributions have been recorded at the station. Perhaps in the future, you'll be given an honorary citizen or one of Zhejiang's top 10 youths. That's a good thing. Does that mean I'll be on TV? Quote. You have to cooperate with us to solve the case, and you'll get those. No problem, but you have to communicate with the reporters. If they insist on interviewing me, please do it at the entrance of my haunted house. This can be considered a form of covert advertising, Chen Ge replied seriously. Half an hour later, Inspector Li arrived, and Chen Ge told him the story that he had made up. He said that he was riding his e-bike to eastern Zhejiang, and when he passed a bus stop, he saw a middle-aged woman hugging a child like she was waiting for someone. He thought that it was very dangerous to be in such a dark place, so he prepared to send the mother and son back home. During the conversation, he realized that something was wrong. The boy was not asleep but unconscious. He wanted to call the police, but his phone ran out of battery. Then, the middle-aged woman escaped, knowing that she had been exposed. Chen Ge chased after her for a while, and he felt that the child's safety was more important, so he brought the child back. The abducted child had been unconscious on the bus, so Chen Ge was not worried that the child would leak the secret. After hearing the whole story, the officers felt that it was unbelievable. They had run into the suspect of a child abduction case just by going out for a stroll. From a certain perspective, the man before them could not be viewed as a normal person anymore. After describing the middle-aged woman's appearance, Inspector Li allowed Chen Ge to leave. He knew that Chen Ge's haunted house was open for business during the day. At 7 a.m., Chen Ge was sent back to New Century Park by the police car. The guard saw Chen Ge walk toward him. He had forgotten how many times he had seen Chen Ge that day. The park is opening for business soon, so I'd better not sleep. After taking a cold shower, Chen Ge changed into a clean set of clothes and cleaned the haunted house. After that, Chen Ge took out the black phone and started to study the trial missions. These few new trial missions are all in eastern Zhejiang. To expand the haunted house, I have to go to eastern Zhejiang. The warning that Xiao Biyu gave me at the time was that I'll be in trouble if I go to Liwan City, but he didn't say that I can't go to eastern Zhejiang. If that's the case, the safest solution is to temporarily not go to Liwan City. After I finish the other 3-star trial missions, I'll gather everyone to go to eastern Zhejiang. Even with Zhang Ya and Xu Yin, Xiao Biyu still thinks I'm going to die. Looks like there's still a gap between me and the culprit in eastern Zhejiang. Chen Ge swiped the phone and thought about ways to close the gap. Yan Danian's special power has to be unlocked as soon as possible, and there's Bai Cholan. He has consumed Shang Qing and obtained the dyed red heart, but the increase in power is not that obvious. I need to consume more ghosts. After going through all the members at the haunted house, Chen Ge realized that if he did not include Zhang Ya, his team was far weaker than the original Society of Strange Tales. If there was danger, once Zhang Ya and Xu Yin were held back, then he would be half dead. The number of employees at the haunted house that can be brought to the surface is still too small. Chen Ge thought about it and opened the black phone to look at one of the options. This wheel of misfortune can pull out a baleful specter, but the problem is if I pull out 2 more, my specter's favored title will level up. I have Zhang Ya and Xu Yin by my side, so normal specters won't pose that much of a threat to me. This title is perfect for me. I can get close to them and communicate with them. But if this title level up, it might attract even more dangerous things in the future. What if Zhang Ya and Xu Yin can't handle them? Won't I have to return to my old life of fear? Chen Ge was reminded of the time when he first extracted Zhang Ya. At the time, he did not know the difference between a red specter and a normal specter. A newborn calf was not afraid of a tiger, and he used his sincerity to slowly convince Zhang Ya. If I make Zhang Ya hate me, I'll be killed, and if I move Zhang Ya too much, I'll be killed as well. I have to keep it under control. It's already scary enough to have one specter with me, but if I attract something more dangerous, it won't end well for me. After the title leveled up, too many uncontrollable things would happen, and that was something that Chen Ge did not want to see. If I draw 2 more specters, the title will level up, but from a normal probability perspective, the chance of drawing a specter is not high, so I still have 2 chances. Chen Ge was tempted. He looked at the wheel of misfortune on the phone and slowly raised his finger. The wheel of misfortune was actually a very important function of the black phone. Zhang Ya, Xu Yin, and Yan Danian, these three specters who had been drawn had been a great help to Chen Ge. Without them, Chen Ge would not have reached where he was now. There are two ways to increase my strength. One is to complete nightmare missions, and the other is to draw something useful from the Wheel of Fortune. Chen Ge had been in possession of the black phone for quite some time now, but until today, the things he had drawn were either specters or items related to specters. This made him feel despair. Perhaps from the first time I drew Zhang Ya, things started to develop in a direction that no one could have predicted. After a night without sleep, Chen Ge's head felt heavy. I'll give it a try. After all, I need to draw 2 more specters before the title will level up. Lighting a cigarette, Chen Ge stood up and walked one round around his haunted house. He had tried to draw something good at noon when the sun was the strongest. He had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when the sun was rising, he had tried to do it when he was 2 kilometers away from the theme park on his bicycle, but reality had proven that none of those were useful. How about I fight fire with fire this time? Wait until midnight, when the yin energy is the thickest, and stand at the deepest part of the haunted house to draw. After giving it some thought, Chen Ge gave up on that idea. I should ask the pen spirit. He entered the underground scenario and planned to combine the power of the pen spirit and the statue to see if he would draw a specter this time. Pushing open the door to the female dormitory, Chen Ge saw a ballpoint pen wrapped in tape drawing circles on a piece of paper. Long time no see. Probably because of Chen Ge's friendly voice, the pen rolled away from Chen Ge. Why are you running? I have something serious to ask you. Holding the pen, Chen Ge asked himself whether he would draw a specter from the black phone's wheel next time. However, he did not expect that the pen spirit would show signs of breaking down halfway through his question. He was so frightened that he quickly stopped. Then he tried it with the statue, and the result was the same. It appeared like whenever the black phone was involved, the specter's power would go out of control. This is weird. The phone that my parents left me is not normal. Since there was no other way, Chen Ge stopped hesitating. He went to the bathroom to wash his hands and then ran to the bus on Route 104. After he calmed down, he clicked on the wheel on the black phone. Staring at the screen, the wheel slowed down, and Chen Ge's heart rose to his throat. The screams that he had accumulated so far were enough for him to draw 5 times. If he did not draw a specter this time, he would continue until he ran out of screams. With a light click, the wheel stopped, and the needle stopped at a certain spot. Lucky draw completed. Congratulations, you have won a special item, invitation to the cursed game, chance of winning, 1%. Invitation to the cursed game. Curses and death are repeated at this hospital, and no one knows where the limit of humanity lies. Invitation to the cursed game. Chen Ge read it several times and confirmed that he did not draw a specter this time. Is my luck going to change? Is everything going to be better? Even though this invitation doesn't look like something good, at least it's better than a title upgrade. Quote. Sitting in the driver's seat, Chen Ge felt like the bus had brought him good luck. As long as there are no specters, that's the normal rate. Chen Ge felt much better, and he clicked on the wheel again. The wheel slowly stopped after several seconds, and with Chen Ge watching, a new notification popped up on the phone. Lucky draw completed. Congratulations, specters favored, for winning a rare item. The phone number kissed by the dead, chance of winning, 0.5%. The police found that every victim called this number in the last moments of their lives. The 4th time you have drawn a specter. Specters favored. When you draw a specter for the 5th time, the title will automatically upgrade. Quote. When Chen Ge saw the term, specters favored, he had a bad feeling. The phone number kissed by the dead. The chance of winning is only 0.5%. This chance is lower than Xu Yin and Yan Danian, second only to Zhang Ya. It's probably a red specter as well. Quote. Having drawn another specter, Chen Ge looked at his hand. Honestly, he was quite afraid. Is the wheel broken? The numbers on it are all fake, right? Quote. Several minutes later, Chen Ge calmed down and started to scroll through the pages. If I draw another specter, the title will upgrade. Should I try it? No one knew what would happen after the title was upgraded. Everything was unknown. When I first got the black phone, under its guidance, I started to interact with this world hidden in the shadows. Until today, I still can't say that I've completely understood this world. Or rather, the more I know, the more I understand how scary this world can be. Chen Ge pocketed the black phone. I should wait until the injury on Zhang Ya's hand is healed before I continue. Otherwise, it won't feel right. Chen Ge returned to the haunted house and entered the prop maintenance room. He found 2 items inside the wooden box that his parents had left behind. One was a crumpled piece of paper with a phone number written on it. It started with 010 and ended with 3 zeros. It should be a landline number. This note looks like it was gripped tightly in someone's hand. Was it a struggle before death? Why would this number be called the number kissed by the dead? Will I run into a red specter if I call this number? Quote. The theme park was about to open. Chen Ge planned to give it a try when he was free. He folded the paper and placed it inside his pocket. Then, he turned to look at the other item. It was a registration form with the seal of Xinhai Central Hospital. The registration department, the registration fee, and the name were all blank. Only the column for the date was painted with a few crooked numbers using bright red paint. So, this is the invitation to the cursed game at the abandoned hospital. It looks new, but it's not as scary as the registration form at the 3rd sick hall. One of the newly unlocked 4-star scenarios on the black phone was Xinhai Central Hospital. Chen Ge believed that the invitation to the cursed game should be related to that scenario. I'll keep it for now. Perhaps I'll need it in the future. Chen Ge was not interested in this cursed game. All he wanted was a 4-star scenario. If anyone dared to place a curse on him again, he would use the pen spirit and the statue to calculate their location. If he could find them, then he would lead a group of red specters to charge at them. He would be open and honest, and he would not resort to dirty tricks. After putting the invitation and the phone number away, Chen Ge walked out from the maintenance room. He opened the gate, and Xiao Jiyu and Xu Wan were already there. Chen Ge forced himself to help them with their makeup before returning to the lobby. He found a secluded spot to let out Lao Zhou and Duan Yu. I'm very satisfied with both of your ability to deal with emergencies and your quick reactions. Your previous performances have proven your capability. Today, don't stay inside the comic anymore. Come out and help me guide the visitors. Of course, I won't ask for your help for free. Tell me if you have any requests. Quote. It's my honor to be able to help you, boss. I also like to spend time with the visitors. There was excitement in Lao Zhou's eyes. Don't go overboard. You only need to lead the way and send the visitors into the scenario. Today, your identities are not actors but pure service workers. Chen Ge was afraid that the two did not understand what he meant and would scare the visitors until they fainted before they even entered the scenario. Service workers. Lao Zhou was disappointed, and so was Duan Yu. If you're really bored, you can give the visitors some small surprises when they exit the scenario. Chen Ge had spent quite some time with Zhou's group. He knew the 3 of them inside out, and he was familiar with their personalities. That was why he dared to ask them to guide the visitors. This was a breakthrough attempt. Appearing in the morning will cause a certain degree of damage to your body. This counts as a work injury, so if you have any requests, feel free to tell me. Consider this my compensation to you. Chen Ge had always been generous to his employees. As long as I can work with her, I don't need anything else. Lao Zhou tried to hold Duan Yu's hand, but he was slapped away by Duan Yu. Go away. We're just playing. Then, why don't we make it real? Chen Ge looked at Duan Yu and Zhou, who were bickering before him, and he suddenly felt like he was unnecessary. Are you two flaunting your relationship? Are you two flaunting your relationship? You should be more careful during working hours. I'm afraid the other employees won't be able to handle it. He took out 2 sets of clothes from the Spectre's changing room and had Zhou and Duan Yu change into them. It's best if the 2 of you do not speak. Do not expose yourselves. If anything happens, remember to inform me immediately. Don't worry. Lao Zhou and Duan Yu were very professional. Chen Ge had noticed that a long time ago. With them around, even if there was an emergency, they would be able to solve it themselves. After reminding them, Chen Ge returned to the staff break room. If all the specters were like Lao Zhou and Duan Yu, that would be great. After setting a watch, Chen Ge fell asleep. When it was almost noon, Chen Ge was woken up by the alarm. It's time for lunch. Stretching lazily, Chen Ge walked out from the break room. Lao Zhou and Duan Yu did not disappoint him. Everything was well organized. Duan Yu had a pleasant voice. She was responsible for communicating with the visitors while Zhou was responsible for leading the visitors into the various scenarios. To ease the tension, old Zhou would occasionally tell a few jokes to liven up the atmosphere. He was very responsible. Thank you for your hard work. You two can go back and rest. After sending Lao Zhou and Duan Yu back into the comic, Chen Ge purposely went to the surveillance room to check the footage to make sure that Lao Zhou and Duan Yu did not cause any trouble. Both of them are more suitable than I am. Completely relieved, Chen Ge walked out of the haunted house to greet Shu Shu. You're quite honest today. The visitors have a good response, and a few foreigners have come to visit. They say that you have no problem communicating with them. Don't you remember how bad your English is? Shu Shu had a smile on his face. Actually, his expectations were not high. As long as Chen Ge did not cause any trouble, he would be satisfied. One is never too old to learn. English aside, I've even taught myself how to draw and play the violin. If there's a chance, I'll perform for you in the future. Chen Ge looked at the long line at the entrance of the haunted house and was satisfied. He entered the resting hall to look at the visitors' clearing records. That day, the 3-star scenario, Coffin Village, had been cleared twice, and the visitors had found a way to clear this scenario. The maximum number of visitors that could enter a 3-star scenario at once was 15, so they purposely gathered 15 people before entering. Then, they found the wedding dress as fast as they could and took turns carrying it. Once a visitor was scared by the lingering spirit inside the wedding dress or fainted, the people next to them would carry the wedding dress and rush out of the scenario. The previous visitor would be strategically abandoned, and one by one, they would transport the wedding dress out of the scenario. That scenario, if it was accompanied by suitable background music, would be very tragic and shocking. Once the visitors figure out the way to clear the scenario, the difficulty of the scenario will plummet, and more people will clear it. Even though the 3-star scenario had been cleared, Chen Ge was not worried at all. When the visitors were still trying their best to clear the other 2 3-star scenarios, Chen Ge had already started to prepare for the 3.5-star or even 4-star scenarios. I can't wait for the visitors to enter the 4-star scenario. My haunted house will probably explode in popularity then. The haunted house closed at 6 p.m., and the last batch of visitors left at 6:30 p.m. After cleaning up the place, Chen Ge waited for Xiao Jiyu and Xu Wan to leave before returning to the staff break room alone. I've had a good night's sleep this morning, so I'm not that sleepy. Chen Ge took out the note from his pocket. It's time to fetch this employee. The chance of drawing him is even lower than drawing Yan Danian. He should be a red spectre. Taking out his phone, Chen Ge studied the number many times before calling it. It was 7 p.m., and the park's employees had left. The place was quiet. The busy tone echoed in his ears. The call went through, but there was no answer. Not many people use a landline anymore. What is the hidden meaning behind this number? After the 14th ring, the call was finally picked up. Chen Ge held his breath. He did not speak but perked up his ears to listen. There was a strange sound coming from the other end of the phone, like something was burning. When alcohol and gas burned, the fire would be very quiet. Only when wood burned would there be this kind of crackling sound. Hello. Is there anything I can help you with? Quote. 10 seconds later, Chen Ge saw that there was still no response from the other end of the phone, so he tried to ask. The wine bottle fell, and something seemed to have spilled out. The fire burned even brighter. Hello. Is anyone there? Quote. The call was answered, which meant that there had to be someone standing near the phone. Could it be a fire? Are you okay? Please tell me your location immediately. Quote. Chen Ge became nervous and shouted. The fire was still burning, and there was another voice in the rising flames. Can I talk to you for a while? His voice was pleasant, but his throat was hoarse. Sure, I don't have anything to do at the moment. Chen Ge was worried that the man would not speak. As long as they could communicate, he would be able to get useful information. Then what do you want to talk about? After a long time, he replied, I don't know. He spoke very slowly like he was thinking. Chen Ge heard the difference in the man's tone, but he did not dare to speak carelessly, afraid that he might agitate the man. Why don't we think about something happy? There are many happy things. Everyone is happy, and I know I should act happy, but I just can't. Relax, then how about we think about some good memories? Memories. The man was silent again, but the voice on the other end of the phone became clearer. When I was young, my parents often argued for the sake of survival. When he heard the first sentence, Chen Ge felt that something was wrong. This was not a good memory. He wanted to interrupt the man, but the man on the other end did not seem to have any intention of stopping. My mother was very strict with me, and she wanted me to be a successful child. I have always been a good child, a bit shy, and I did not like to talk. In primary school, my studies were not bad, but in 6 years, I only got one certificate for being a good student. In junior high, my English was very poor, and my grades were average. In the 3rd year, my mother found me an English teacher to tutor me. After school, I still have to go to class. By 9:30 p.m., it will be 10 p.m. when I get home. Quote. The teacher's teaching is very good. When I was recruited, I scored more than 90 points in English. Although I didn't do well in mathematics and Chinese, my overall score was still in the top 10 of the class. I think I scored more than 560 points. With this result, you can apply to all the high schools except for City Number 1 High School. Actually, I don't understand. Why did you label the child at that time? City Number 1 High School is the best high school in the city, and I'm 20 points behind. If I want to go to Number 1 High School, I'll have to pay 18,000 yuan more. My parents' monthly salary is more than 4,000 yuan. In order to give me a better starting point, they paid more money for me to go to Yigao. Am I grateful? I don't know either. Maybe I don't want to feel guilty, but I worked so hard for the first 3 months. I was worried that I would be exposed, worried that others would know that you didn't get in with your own strength, that you got in through the back door. Actually, other people wouldn't care that much. Maybe I'm a very proud person, or maybe I don't want to be different from them. In the entrance exam, my score was above average. This made me happy, and I started to work harder. But during the midterm exam, my score slipped to below average. I couldn't find the reason. Perhaps there was a problem with my study method, or perhaps I didn't work hard enough. I gave it my all. When the final exam results came out, my ranking slipped again, and I fell to the bottom. A person with excellent grades turned into a bad student. His identity has changed, but there is still a process of psychological adaptation. When you start to adapt psychologically, you'll change from a good student to a bad one. I'm a bit strange myself. I'm one of those bad students with high self-esteem and pride. When the arts and science classes were split, I met someone I liked. It's hard to describe that feeling, but I'm happy to see her. She was a very good student, and she was very hardworking. She would always go to class early in the morning. The key to our classroom was with the class monitor. I would wake up early every morning to help her open the door before the class monitor came. There were many similar things. When she went to the canteen for lunch, I would stand in the corridor with my English book, memorizing words. I wanted to wait for her to come back and watch her walk from the canteen into the education block. It's embarrassing. I memorized words for a whole semester, but my English score was only around 30. My results got worse and worse, and I was always in the bottom 10. When I reached the 3rd year of high school, when everyone was fighting for their lives, my interest was to read and write. I read all kinds of extracurricular books, web novels, magazines, sci-fi, and suspense novels. The more I read, the more a world would appear in my mind, a world that I imagined myself. It was also the first time I created an author's account online and tried to write. There were still 100 days until the high school exam. My friends from the night market returned to their studies, and I sneaked out to write my story through the surveillance cameras. During the 100-day rally, the school leader gave a speech on stage. I looked at him and thought about the books I liked, the authors I liked. I wanted to be like them. To shape a world that many people would like. Quote. After the high school exam, there are 2 ways to interpret this. First, it's over, and second, it's over for me. I only passed the cutoff point for junior college. Compared to those who were not satisfied and wanted to repeat their studies, I decided to use this last chance to confess. It was very real. I didn't say anything, but the girl I liked was with the class monitor. I went to get a haircut. As the only junior college student in the city's top high school, I had to maintain my composure. I didn't plan to contact them anymore. Perhaps it's because people with high self-esteem don't like other people's sympathy. Even if I'm a bad student, I have to be a bad student with a dream. After I entered university, writing became my everything. I planned to create a work that combined all the elements from ancient to modern times. I read many books and knew a little about everything. I submitted my work to a website. The first contract I signed was at that time. 300,000 words were published, but no one read it. Then, I submitted to some random websites, but they didn't want it. In the second semester of my junior year, some students started to get busy with their teaching qualifications. I went to a place furthest from home for my internship. The factory my father worked for closed down, and the boss was sentenced to 10 years for illegal fundraising. My mother was the only one left at home, and her salary was less than $2,000. So I went to do my internship. The place furthest from home had the highest salary, and I could see the sea. 33 students from my school interned at that company. Because it was a frontline job, the temperature was above 40 degrees, and they had to come into contact with copper mud and kerosene frequently. After a month, only 16 of them stayed. Due to professional reasons, I was transferred to another department. The work was not easy, but it was acceptable. Slowly, I got used to it. The leader thought that even though I didn't like to talk, I was honest and serious, so I became a permanent employee. I worked 8 hours a day, 1 day off a week. After I got used to this life, I started to reflect. Was I going to work here for the rest of my life? As a worker in the new era, how could I not have dreams? Quote. I started writing again. I worked 8 hours a day and wrote 4,000 words at night. 4,000 words that no one read, no one liked, and no one scolded me. Nothing would change if I didn't write. Writing, even though it was tiring, at least I enjoyed it. Perhaps naivety favors those who work hard. There were not many readers, but the girl I liked in high school suddenly appeared on WeChat. When I was in my second year, I heard from another male classmate that she had broken up with the class monitor, but I was too obsessed with writing my own sci-fi story, so I didn't pay much attention to it. After that, we kept in touch. I went to visit her during my annual break and wandered around her school. The difference between junior college and university was only one word, so I didn't think the difference was that big. But after she started her master's and PhD, the difference was huge. I can't remember when I confessed, and I don't know what I said at the time, but in any case, they were not suitable. It wasn't that bad, right? After that, I continued to work and write until the book reached the shelves. Still, no one read it. My monthly fee was about $600, and $600 was for full attendance. After that, I searched for my own book and found many pirated websites. I was furious. I went to report and file complaints. I tried my best to add the QQ account of the person on the pirated website. There were even readers' comments on that site, and it was even livelier than my original book. After I added that person, I told him to remove my book from the shelves immediately, or else I would use all sorts of methods to defend my rights. He ignored me. I went to other pirated websites and realized many of them were the same person's QQ account, so I tried to reason with him. He still didn't reply. In the end, as a proud student, I begged someone for help for the first time. As the original author, I told the person who started the pirated website, I won't ask you to remove my book from the shelves anymore, but don't update at the same time as me. Can you wait for 3 days after my original chapter is released before you update? If you don't agree after 3 days, how about 1 day? I'm begging you. Quote. I even posted in the comments section of the pirated website, saying that I only earned $600 a month, and if people liked it, please support the original. Someone replied to me, saying that I was trying to act pitiful, that I was an idiot, that I was poisoned by my writing, that no God would care about such things. The person who started the pirated website did not reply to me, and I did not reply to the pirated readers either. After exiting the browser, I continued to write the 4,000 words for the day. Writing 4,000 words a day and updating for a month was the reward for full attendance, 600. This 600 was my reward for my hard work. About a week later, I made a mistake when I was operating the polishing machine, and the tooling flew out and hit my hand. The middle finger of my right hand was broken, and it was only connected by 2 layers of skin. It happened at 2 in the afternoon, and I dealt with it at 8 at night. I returned to the dormitory. I turned on the computer and used 7 fingers to write the 4,000 words for the day. 4,000 words a day, and I kept updating. That was the reward for full attendance for the month. I wrote until 1:30 at night, and I had written 3,000 words. Then, I collapsed on the keyboard and cried like a dog. What was I doing? Later, when I had a break, I went back to my hometown. The girl wanted to treat me to dinner, so we went to watch a movie. The movie I watched that day was Big Fish Begonia. I saw the male supporting character sacrifice his life for the female lead, but the female lead still ended up with the coon. I seemed to see myself, and I let go of everything. I placed the gift that I had carefully prepared on the overpass, and I squatted on the road until late at night. The passers-by probably thought that I was weird. After I returned home, I went back to Zhuhai the next day. Work and writing. At the time, I didn't even know what kept me going. Then I wrote a new book, and after half a year, God finally rewarded the hard working, and I had the happiest time of my life. I met a female reader who was 5 years younger than me. At the time, she was at school, and I was at work. We traveled across half of China. When I went to find her for the first time, the typhoon came, and the plane couldn't take off. It was delayed for a long time. Coincidentally, the typhoon hadn't left, and there was another one coming. All of this was real. At the time, she told me that if I couldn't make it that day, we wouldn't be together anymore. The most coincidental thing happened. During the short period between the 2 typhoons, the plane took off. This should be my first time in a relationship. Everything that we've done with each other is a first for me. The first time holding hands, the first time going to an aquarium, the first time going to an amusement park, the first time passing a haunted house, the first time taking the subway, the first time kissing. This titanium alloy straight man made her worry a lot, and I even hid many of my flaws from her, like the finger that was still problematic even after it was corrected, my education background, and the book that I bragged about. Then I wrote a supernatural novel, and it went viral. I felt like God would not mistreat a hard-working person. That period of time was like a beacon of light. The bitterness was over, and the dream was just around the corner. It was like I could see the weakest student standing in the middle of the crowd thanking me during the 100-day rally in high school. Thank you for not giving up. Finally, one day, you stood together with the authors that you once loved. That was the happiest time, but happy times are always short. Every year, the circle would choose the best newcomer. I thought my result was in the bag, but I ran into a problem. My book took the lead and gave out a total of more than 400,000 yuan in red packets to earn this honor. Of the 400,000, about 100,000 came from my readers, and the remaining 300,000 came from my own pocket. I sold my family's old house. During that month, I had already thought about what would happen if my book was reported to the authorities. If my book was reported and banned, I would find the problem, kill him, and then burn everything, including myself. Thankfully, the book was not banned, but after winning the honor, I suddenly felt like the world had darkened. It should be a happy thing, but I couldn't smile. Everyone was happy, but I was the only one who tried my best to smile. My dream came true, but there seemed to be something wrong with me. When I communicate with others, it feels like the other person's mouth is enlarging like a black hole, sucking me in. The people that I like and those that I'm close to reject the care that they give me. Something must be wrong. The sound of the fire on the other side of the phone grew louder. It sounded like a wardrobe was being pushed over. The man's voice faded away, and Chen Ge only heard the last sentence. This fire is so big. He went out these 2 days and posted the last chapter on March 9th. At that time, he was in Shanghai. He had no regrets after confirming the contract. The next day, he arrived in Zhengzhou, broke up with his girlfriend, sent all the passwords to his family, and went straight to Kangzhou, Hebei. From the 3rd of January to the 1st of March, he used 2 months to compare the words of the readers of the book and the information on the internet to roughly determine the address of the author of the spy novel, Xuan Tang. Everything said in the previous chapter was true. Xuan Tang was the author of the spy story of the Republic of China. He opened the Kedian app, clicked on the discovery page, found the column at the top, and scrolled down to find. December 2, 2018. Ers Kedian Magazine, Issue 37, November 26 to December 2. November 25, 2018. Ers Kedian Magazine, Issue 36, November 19 to November 25. There was a picture in these two magazines, recording the number of monthly votes for Haunted House, There's Demon Aura, and the spy story of the Republic of China during the competition for the title of Best Author. There's Demonic Aura was released in May, with an initial subscription of 7,700 from Kedian Data Network, and 3,790 monthly votes, 3,921 votes in June, 7,417 votes in July, 7,756 votes in August, 17,960 votes in September, 36,974 votes in October, 70,000 RMB monthly vote red packet was given due to demonic aura, and the monthly vote red packet was within the rules of Kedian, 5 yuan each, 32,045 votes in November. As of November 25. I Have a Haunted House went on sale on the 1st of August. Initial subscription was 17,600 from Kedian website. Monthly votes for that month were 14,269, September 18,749 votes, October 19,140 votes, November 40,627 votes. As of November 25, the competition for the top spot started that month. More than 80,000 RMB worth of monthly votes were given out. The Spy of the Republic of China was released on August 1, with 2,400 subscriptions from Kedian, 8,087 monthly votes, 26,284 monthly votes in September, 48,115 monthly votes in October, 32,318 monthly votes in November. As of November 25. Haunted House and the Spy Story of the Republic of China were released on the same day. All the data that could be seen on the internet, such as favorites, gifts, subscriptions, chapters, and comments, Haunted House surpassed the Spy Story of the Republic of China. Under such circumstances, Haunted House and QQ Reading combined to give out more than 400,000 RMB monthly votes in red packets, and in the end, the total monthly votes surpassed the Spy of the Republic. The newcomer king looked at the total number of votes. I really wanted to ask Greenvine in person, where did you get your votes when your statistics are lower than mine and you don't even give me a red packet for your votes? Taobao. Online shopping. 400,000 RMB was equivalent to more than 80,000 monthly votes. The last 100,000 was given during the double monthly ticket period. There was a red packet ranking in Kedian for the number of red packets given out. It was the same for QQ Reading. The Spy of the Republic of China had 48,115 monthly votes in October and was ranked 8th on the overall rankings. I had also noticed this book at that time. A new book with 2,400 subscriptions had managed to enter the top 10 of the monthly rankings in just 2 months. In October, my average subscription was 24,000, and I received a total of 19,140 monthly votes, ranking in the 20s. In November, the editor asked me if I wanted to compete for the newcomer king. Competing for the newcomer king was to earn monthly votes, and there were many benefits. It could make the readers more united, and the monthly votes ranking itself was equivalent to a big recommendation. I told the editor that it was fine if I had to compete with evil spirits, but what was the point of competing with a big spender? The editor replied to me, "It was the first time I was disappointed in this industry. If a book with an average subscription of a few thousand and a book with an average subscription of tens of thousands PK, then the book with an average subscription of a few thousand PK would probably care. But if a book with an average subscription of 20,000 and a book with an average subscription of 30,000 PK, then the book with an average subscription of 20,000 PK would probably care." It was very realistic, I understood. I asked the readers for their opinions, and the readers were very passionate and supportive. Then, the competition officially started on November 16th, and it was from that day until now that I started to lose sleep. In December, someone went around saying that I was cheating votes, leaving messages in my space, and privately scolding me. Not bad, I noted it all down. At that time, I was prepared to go to Hong Kong to personally expose this spender, but the readers in the management group stopped me, saying that no matter what kind of crazy rumors were being spread, the author must not do it himself. After December, the title of the book changed, the synopsis changed, and the outline and main storyline were also cut and rewritten to avoid being reported as not being harmonious. Some short stories outside of the main storyline were added. On the 1st of January, the first place on the Dow Monarch Monthly Leaderboard, the top 10 of the Global Martial Arts Annual Leaderboard, and Haunted House's Newcomer King were both given special chapters as thanks. The next morning, I consulted a lawyer online about how to sue the spy spender of the Republic of China through legal channels. The specific implementation period was very long, and I thought it would be a very simple matter. On the 2nd of January, I joined the first signed author group, and it was also the only signed author group that still existed. There were people discussing the Newcomer King, saying that Haunted House won unfairly, and that they relied on cheating to become the Newcomer King. I knew that many people were saying the same thing. I couldn't prove that I wasn't a spender, but I could guarantee with my life that from the moment I started writing until now, I never cheated any data. Clicks, favorites, monthly votes, subscriptions, comments, gifts, everything was real. I couldn't prove that I wasn't a spender, and I didn't know what to do to punish this real spender. I told my parents about this problem, and they told me to get over it. I also told my girlfriend about it, and she hated me to the core. I also told my friends about it, and they told me that the innocent will be innocent, and that it's fine as long as we have a clear conscience. They didn't understand why I was so angry. Actually, I just couldn't understand one thing. Why did I do nothing wrong? But I became the one who did something wrong. I tried to convince myself for the past few months, but the more I thought about it, the more disgusted I felt. My brain felt like it was stuck with glue, and I couldn't breathe. I knew that even if I wrote this far, there would still be people who would say, "Isn't it just a small matter? Do I have to feel so bad?" Honestly, I didn't know why I was like this. I thought I would slowly get over it, but it was the opposite. I felt that I should use my own method. Chen Ge was quite big, and after searching for an entire night, I finally reached the place. I didn't like to talk normally, but if I didn't say this out loud, it would be suffocating. I didn't know why I had to worry so much before. It was only now that I calmed down. I thought about it, I'm only 26. I can use the rest of my life to fight with this spender, so what's the rush? I used most of the day to calm down, but I still managed to control it. Thinking about it, it's actually quite annoying to have an author like me. I'm already on my way back, so there's no need to worry.